Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking all the Bounty Pack 3 weapons in Borderlands 4 on a tier list from best to worst. There's some very powerful weapons here and some cool interactions with the pearlescent, allowing you to buff up every single weapon in the game to do some pretty crazy stuff. We also got some very strong Torg weapons and I'll be breaking down all of that in this video. There are 11 new items that we'll be breaking down, including a shield and a grenade. And I'll first start off with the Raiden SMG. And what makes the Raiden so powerful is its special ability that when you get a kill, you get a projectile booster. This can work with any weapon. It's pretty crazy. This weapon will always come with a COV licensed magazine and a shotgun ammo swapper. But as you take out targets, you're going to see that these little projectiles drop on the ground. They are sometimes a little bit buggy to pick up. Now to show you this, the Kaleidosplode here now has 2 projectiles. So they last for 14 seconds. So you want to try and take out as many enemies or leave the projectiles on the ground so that you can pick these up with a more powerful weapon. This can be extremely powerful paired with like the new Dropner heavy ordnance that dropped from the takedown. You can see clears all the Volt under 7. This is also with the very powerful Heimdall, which is going to give it multiple heads that shoot out of the gun, so it makes it amazing for the new takedown for both the mobbing and bossing sections. So yeah, basically the way you want to use this is by taking out and get as many of these drops as you can see. You'll see it beside your health bar. I have 3 of them currently, and then you're going to swap over to a more powerful weapon, which will then just eviscerate whatever you're going against. I did have some people tell me that this is bugged, but I do think this is an intended mechanic, as we've had weapons in previous Borderlands games that do something similar, like the Grog Nozzle. This leads me to believe this is an intended mechanic because it only lasts for 14 seconds. You gotta hustle to get those, and the effects of it are strong, but it requires you to build around it. So I do think that the Raiden is a very powerful new weapon, and honestly, I'm gonna put it up in the S tier because this opens up some very interesting new builds, and it's very strong. The weapon itself isn't really much to write home about, and even the Raiden effect isn't crazy unless you do have it affecting another weapon. But if this ends up getting nerfed, I would probably throw that down to around the B tier. And the Raiden can be grabbed from Biff Fistful from Bounty Pack 3. Next up, we'll also go with another weapon from Biff Fistful, the Artillery Sphere. I think this is cool. I actually like the idea of this, but it's not really that strong in practice. This gives us a little companion orb that will float around dealing damage per time. The damage that it deals is not very high. You do get to use this grenade really quickly as it only has like a few second reload speed, so you can constantly keep spamming it here. And you see there, using it against this boss, it is doing sweet nothings, but I think it's cool. I like the effect of it. However, I don't think the implementation makes this very strong at all. So it does have its downsides in terms of its overall power. Because if you're going to use this over something else like the Dropner, which just came out, the Dropner is like 1,000,000 times better. So while it's a cool idea and I thought there'd be some fun ways like Rafa could use this, it unfortunately just falls short of what some of the other weapons in this game can do. Like 28k damage per second is all right, and whenever you equip it, it's going to constantly be damaging targets. So it's nice if you don't want to use a grenade. However, you're probably just better off using something like the Waterfall that doesn't damage yourself, because you can throw that around and get a variety of different effects from it, or even a Bismuth Tip Dagger to boost up your gun damage. This falls short in terms of everything that you want from an ordnance. So I'd have to say the Artillery Sphere, I like the cool factor. I like that it's companion and it follows you around, but this is the trouble of ordnances, and I love trouble. So yeah, I like it, but I do think it is like a very unfortunately weak weapon. There may be some way to get value out of it, but I've been testing it. I haven't seen anything that is really that good. Not when we have things like the Dropner, which can do 327k DPS. That's for another video though. And lastly, the final item you can get from Biff Fistful is the Brickhouse. This weapon, every 10th shot, fires a projectile that returns to the player, which can bounce and has a chance to spawn 2 additional projectiles when colliding with enemies or players. This can come with Ripper and Jacobs. It also can come with like the Atlas Underbarrel here, which I do prefer. You also can get it with a variety of different elements. Highest possible damage roll is 29.8k DPS. It's, you'll see, a little misleading in a sense. So I'll just let her spray here. Having the Ripper part on it is nice because this will boost up the fire rate, and Jacobs is also amazing. Making this a good weapon for if you want to do the new takedown, because you can actually do some pretty good stuff. And you do see like the little projectiles that are flying around in the area, having like that little graphic style going on. The damage from this is not like something crazy good, but it is damage, I guess. And I like SMGs that fire quickly like this, but if you got the Bounty Pack, you probably have a story pack where you can get the Flash Cyclone, and even things like the Dark Beach just are a lot better with similar rolls. So As far as other SMGs go, I don't even think this is a top like 5 SMG, as we have ones that have like 1/3 the amount of DPS that just outperform it a lot better. Like the jailbroken Gatling that dropped from Subjugator and Thole, 13k DPS max out versus 29k, and this one just does a lot more. The Flash Cyclone with like 2/3 of the damage, and it's the best SMG in the game. Juliet Sparkle, same thing. It's 2/3 of the DPS, but still, I would say a better weapon. So yeah, it's that additional projectile, so that makes it really good. I shouldn't say really good, it just makes it good. This weapon's fine, and for that, I'd probably say it's around the B tier. Like, it's a decent enough weapon. It's not something you'd end up building around, but if you got it and you like it, it's gonna do the job. And next we'll be moving on to weapons that drop from Cleaner with the Hard Dark with a nice Batman reference. Now, this is an interesting one because it doesn't have Jacob's part, but it ricochets like crazy. So the Hard Dark is similar to the Mercredi, and actually kind of funny, the Mercredi will actually drop from Cleaner, and you can get a Phosphine Mercredi right now, so I'd highly recommend going and grabbing that. And this thing is also a very similar weapon, Daedalus Assault Rifle. You can get a Ripper part on it, you can get an ammo swapper, you can get the Atlas Underbarrel. I would recommend getting either the shotgun swapper or the Atlas, the SMG being probably 3rd place best. Highest DPS is 17k. And here's what it looks like. So when you shoot at a target, you can see large ricochets bouncing around. It's actually a little bit easier if you see it bounce off the ground there. They bounce around and then they explode into those huge area of effects. So you do some cool stuff with it, and especially if you got like the shotgun loader onto it. So I'll go into shotgun mode here. The damage from this thing is pretty decent, nothing crazy, but it's good enough. It's actually not as strong as the Mercredi, so if you really like that weapon, you can go with that instead. And I'll show you now with the Atlas Underbarrel, which lets you have those redirect back onto the enemy there, so it will scale up the damage a little bit further, as those ricochets will bounce around to hit the enemies. So you can actually fire it off like this, the bullets will home in on the target. So it's kind of between those two, depending if you want to have a better ammo management, because you can have like even a pistol one if you find you don't have a pistol in your repertoire. But this thing isn't like crazy powerful as far as the guns in this game go, with the Mercredi being a lot more powerful if you want to compare it to a similar weapon. But it's a good enough one, and it's a fun weapon. I really like the ricochets and having it bounce around. Like if you shoot off the ground like that, you can have it bounce and then do those huge explosions there. It is a little bit trickier because you do want to use the underbarrel here, the Atlas tracker, to then get it to go and hit the target again. But yeah, we'll swap over to the SMG variant of it here and show you what that's like, because it does shoot it a lot quicker. This one's good for general mobbing, so it's great for the takedown. As you can see, those huge explosions bouncing and ricocheting around. Doesn't really have that same effect on targets that well, but yeah, you see the damage. It's interesting. It's, I think, a decent weapon overall, nothing crazy. You're better off with, like, obviously a lot of other assault rifles in this game, but for what it is, if you like it, I like Daedalus weapons in this game, and having an ammo swapper is great. Having the Atlas Underbarrel is also great. So if you like to use enhancements to boost those up, and there's also a lot of really good Daedalus enhancements, one that increases your fire rate by 50%, which can be really nice if you got an infinite ammo build. But as you can see here, I'm using a Harlow infinite ammo build, and it's not the most reliable for some reason, getting your infinite ammo to work properly. So that is one thing that some assault rifles in this game have an issue with, and I'm not entirely sure why, but it is something to keep a note on. But if you wanted a Daedalus, go with the Mercredi. Even the bot is still actually pretty solid. So I'd have to say this is like a high B tier to maybe like, I might put it into the A tier. I'll be generous and put it in A tier just because I like the weapon, but it's probably like a top of the B tier, a little bit better than Brickhouse. Now, another weapon that also drops from Cleaner is the Cooper Duper here. So this is a funny one because it works with the Raiden, and you can shoot out multiple barrels with it. It creates a holographic barrel that'll pierce enemies and attach the world. Shooting the attached barrels causes it to explode. And the best possible damage roll has 26.5k DPS, and when it explodes, it does 39.6k DPS, which is a little bit far from our drop near here, which does 36k times 3 per shot. So yeah, you can already imagine it's not going to be the best from this latest update. It does look pretty cool, but I'll show you what it does here. So you shoot at this barrel, you have to charge it up here to get a couple of them off, and then I can shoot those for the extra damage. I think it's a cool effect. It's just not that strong. And unfortunately, heavy ordinances have stiff competition, again, with the drop near being so insanely powerful. And if you're doing mobbing, the Heimdall is also insanely powerful. If you're doing the takedown, you can do the Heimdall for an entire run. It'll home in on enemies, and then swap to the drop near for the final boss, and that'll be the best heavy ordnance. And you can also get by with things like the honey bunches, the litter splitter, etc. So yeah, it's got stiff competition, which I do take into consideration here. In a vacuum, it's just going to go into the C tier. I think it is a little tiny bit better than the artillery sphere, but not by much. We actually have things perfectly balanced. Thanos would be proud. And next up, we're moving on to weapons from Fixer. So the Discy business here, this is kind of similar to the disc jockey heavy ordnance. This will shoot off a disc. It can come with Ripper and Jacob's parts, but it caps out at 10k DPS. It's Maliwan, so it can come with a swapper, and it'll always come with that ability to swap between elements here. You can also come with Hyperion parts and a few other choices, but in essence, this is a high damage over time weapon. It'll bounce up to 4 times, I believe it is, and it has 150 centimeter splash zone. Only downside, the damage from this is not like super amazing. You can see the bouncing discs there, they fly around everywhere. I'm elemental swapping to match the health bar there. The damage isn't like super amazing. It's more so the damage over time that we're dealing, but yeah, this is a tough competition as well because there's just so many good shotguns. And I'll show it against the shock version, which has a higher damage over time against a shield there. So it's cool because you can bounce these here. As you can see, they're very hard to see because they do travel so fast. But yeah, they do a decent enough amount of damage with that damage over time. But the damage itself, again, is nothing super special. So yeah, I'd have to say the Discy business. I like the concept. It just doesn't have the same damage output as some of the other weapons in this game. I'd probably say like a high C to low B tier. I'm going to probably put it just low B tier because it does have some damage over time potential. For those that like it, like I can see this being great on Amon, like with his electrical fire, which when he applies a shock DOT, it then applies a fire one. And the final weapon that comes from Fixer is the mini hugger, or I guess regular hugger. This will, whenever the repair kit is active, deal damage over time to the target. You can get a few different rolls on it, so depending on your roll. So this one's got 6.5 thousand damage. Kind of similar to the Sparky Shield. This will open up some interesting builds like the Rafa melee build. But again, there's just so many better rep kits in this game. You got things like the Kill Spring, which will just consistently heal you over time. My Fear Thief War Paint, which gives you fire rate and movement speed. And you also have things like the AF 1000, which will give you a 20-second long bonus, like 30% life steal for 20 seconds, or increase action skill cooldown rate. And then also the good old-fashioned triple bypass. So stiff competition. And let's see how it stacks up. So you can see the area of effect ring. So we'll go up close here to see that damage that we're putting out. Yeah, it's not really much of anything. So that's the only downside. Is it's a cool idea, but it just doesn't really accomplish much of anything you'd want from a rep kit, whether it be like boosting your damage or by survivability. It really just, there may be like a niche build down the road with another item that it can interact with, but even trying it out with Rafa, it didn't end up doing that much on the melee build. So yeah, I just don't see this stacking up very well. And I'd have to say that this item is probably going to go into the D tier as well. I just don't think it is that good, in all honesty, unless there's some sneaky way to make use of it. It does reflect 100% of bullets, so it can be useful, I guess, in certain instances. But even then, I might just put it a C tier. It isn't really doing a whole lot of much. Maybe there'll be an enemy later on that this is really good against, but you're typically going to run, again, the War Paint, Triple Bypass, AF 1000, or Kill Spring. Like, those are like the meta. And we did get one in the Takedown that gives you health on critical hits, which is also kind of interesting. But yeah, this doesn't do anything new. We have a shield that does something a little bit better. Now we're getting into the Vault card, the final 4 items here. First, we got the Overswarm Energy Shield. This is a cool one. It's not as cool as the Little Sister Bioshock reference from the Takedown, but with this, whenever the energy shield breaks, it releases kill drones that's charged at a nearby enemy, dealing 14 to almost 15k damage, and restores 15% shield. Kill drones will recharge while the shield is full. It has a very low capacity, about 15k, with a 1.2 second recharge delay, and it does charge at around 2k per second. And we'll show you here what it does. So it's nice in the fact that you can actually get some damage out of your shield, but if you want a damaging shield, you can see the drone, it flew off somewhere there. The Watch for Dinner just ends up being a much better shield. All right, and I'll refresh it there so we can try again with the kill drones. You can see the thing right beside the health bar there. The kill drones just went and exploded right in its face. It'll be whatever elemental damage that you have on it. So yeah, they do charge up to 3 there whenever your shield is full. I'm out of shield now, so it's yeah, it already did its effect. The damage from it is not super amazing. So again, you can see right beside my health bar there. So we have the number 3. I'll try to move away so that you can see it in action if they'll just shoot at me, and try to get the drone. Okay, one of the things exploded at him there. So yeah, it's okay. The drones flew off again. They're really hard to see, but they do a minimal amount of damage. There's just so many better shields in this game. So yeah, I don't see this one being good at all. This one I'm actually going to throw into the D tier as well. So yeah, we have the Repkit in the C tier, this into D tier. Now, next we'll look at the cool rhythm here, so feel the rhyme. This one is actually pretty solid as far as order guns go, and it's got a fun but difficult to use gimmick to it. So when you fire it at 3 stacks, it deals 200% cryo damage and refunds the ammo cost. Reloading will change the charge speed, so you're always guessing. It can come with Jacobs parts, it can come with a shotgun loader, it can come with torque parts. My honest opinion, torque parts are the best. The Jacobs and then follow it up with the torque parts here, so you get an idea of how that all works. So I'll go against here with the Jacobs. You do want to try and line it up to get the 3 shots. So yeah, that is the ideal amount. But even if you charge up all the way to full, it will still do a good amount of damage. But you'll see here, we want that torque roll. So switching over to the torque here, it does a lot more damage here. I'm not getting the best. Oh, you have a hard time sometimes with actually getting this to work properly because of the torque obviously being difficult. Let's try that again. You have to be really good at getting that 3 off. So at a full charge, it does actually a pretty considerable amount of damage too. So even if you mess it up and don't get that 3, the 3 refunds your ammo. So it's great on builds that don't have infinite ammo because that'll at least give you some method of sustaining the ammo in this gun. But yeah, that's the shotgun version there. The damage from this thing is pretty decent, I guess. It can work well if you have like the high caliber and you're using like the air burst torque enhancement so you can get even further damage off. I'm not for the purpose of this video, but this is a fun weapon. It's not really going to be a super strong weapon, but yeah, I think as far as order guns go, it's no crow source, but it's a cool new addition, and I think it's actually pretty fun to use. I'm just not the biggest fan of order weapons. They sometimes are a bit more tricky to use, and this one, having to do it at 3 stacks with a random charge speed, is a little bit tough, but I would say it's probably like I would actually say probably A tier. With a torque part and a shotgun loader on it, it can do a bit more damage, especially if you build around it than something like the Brickhouse. The Brickhouse, this is a tough one to rank because the Brickhouse in most situations will be a little bit easier to use, but the peaks of the rhythm are a little bit higher. It's just a difficult to use weapon, so tough one to rank because if you're good with it, it's a great weapon, but if you don't like that charge mechanic, it's probably a C tier type weapon. And next we'll go over to the light gun. This is actually a reference to old gun. It's like if you go to like an arcade, the shooters where you shoot off screen, basically you can't reload this gun, you have to crouch. It gives you 50% damage reduction. This damage reduction will not work because there's diminishing returns. So like if you have a Repkit that gives you plus 50% damage reduction and you use it alongside it, instead of getting 100%, you only get 66.7. If you add another 50%, it goes to like 71%. So pretty strong diminishing returns. But if you don't have any damage reduction, this is good because you don't have to actually crouch to get this to reload. There's actually a little trick here. So I guess technically, so let me just fire it off. I'm using an infinite ammo build. You can slide and then get the ammo back. So yeah, this actually works out pretty good because sliding isn't too difficult. It's a fast fire sniper rifle, so it's great if you're playing like Vex and you're using some like type of like bloodshot because it shoots quickly. You can get damage reduction from it, and you can just slide like that to get your ammo back. So it's an interesting weapon. I actually think this is a pretty fun one. It does have like different roles. Like I got the pistol loader here, which makes it shoot a lot quicker. The SMG loader is also amazing to have on it. So yeah, it's nice because you can just go ahead here, slide away, get your ammo back, reduce the damage that you'll be taking. And I mean, the damage itself is nothing super special, but I think it's an okay weapon across the board. It at least has a cool gimmick that benefits the player by giving you like that damage reduction. I would have to say it's probably like a B tier weapon, so I'm going to throw it somewhere around there. It's not really that amazing, but it's not terrible. And I want to save one of my favorite weapons for the end, the Cormano. This is a reference to Sunset Riders. With this weapon, you can get Jacobs and Ripper on it. The highest possible damage roll will just have the Ripper for 32k, but if you want to get the Jacobs and Rippers, this is 30k damage. It's a Torg weapon. It gets 10 rounds in the magazine. It can have 13 too, I believe. It can shoot 2.2 per second, and if you take off the Jacobs, it's 2.3 per second. But the big thing about this is it has a huge pattern of projectiles. And you'll see here, it does a lot more damage than the other guns that we were looking at here. So yeah, this thing can actually hit pretty hard here. This is with the criticals bouncing around. The damage isn't as high as a lot of other shotguns in this game, but it does a decent bit here. Okay, for whatever reason, I had to restart my game because the gun was not dealing any damage. This is what it should look like. I have no idea what's happening. The update today did mess something up. I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, this is the proper damage this gun should deal. I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, this is what it should do. Please let me know if you're also experiencing any oddities after today's update, because I'm not sure what's happening, but it is causing something weird to happen, even though there's no proposed changes in the patch notes. So yeah, this is what the gun should do. The Cormano is very powerful, and I actually really like this Cormano Shotgun. Here's a bit better demonstration of the rhythm gun as well. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this game. It's really strange sometimes where the damage is, sometimes weapons do nothing. You have to restart your game for it to work properly, but this is why I put the rhythm in the A tier, because the gun is actually good, and especially from a full charged fire shot, you can actually do some pretty decent damage here. I'll also swap this over to the shotgun variant of it, just to give you guys a better accurate display of the damage that this thing does. I'm not sure what happened there a second ago, but yeah, it's a solid weapon across the board. So to finish off, I will put the Cormano up into the S tier. The Raiden is just so crazy powerful, especially because it can buff up some of the most powerful guns in the game, like the Dropnir and even the Heimdall, making it just so much crazier. The Cormano, though, huge damage. You can take a boss pretty good. Torque, it's one of the best torque shotguns in the game. The Hard Dark and the Rhythm are both very solid weapons, especially after I showed you guys the updated damage here. It's great. Brickhouse, also solid too across. It's just a decent enough weapon. This sniper, the light gun, is great for just the damage reduction and good on like a Bloodshot Vex. Discy business, huge damage over time. It's a very niche weapon. But then when we look at the Cooper Duper, the Hugger, Repkit, just okay. Artillery Sphere and the Overswarm Shield are just not that good at all. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed. We'll catch you in the next video.